I was a college graduate, but my diploma has been sitting unused for 10 years because I didn't think I was capable. I worked a lot. I've always worked, and I faced problems because I had to pay rent. My children were constantly getting sick, and I had to miss work to take them to the doctor. And so there were many financial problems. I faced debt because I worked so hard. But the money was only used to pay rent and debt. I was already a teacher when I came to Sao Paulo, but my diploma had been stored away for 10 years. That diploma was kept in a drawer, and I was working other jobs because I didn't think I was capable. I was afraid. I was insecure. I thought I wouldn't be able to face a classroom, and so everything was tied up. Everything was locked. So I spent many years of my life in that situation. I could only afford to pay rent. I could only afford the basics. The basic necessities of my home were covered, but there was nothing more. It felt like a desert. I truly lived in a desert. It felt like I was going in circles, doing what I had to do, working, fulfilling my duties, my responsibilities, but not getting anywhere. One day I went to my sister's house to visit her, and thank God I went to visit her. And when I got there, after I had visited her, she invited me to come to church. I didn't even know it was the Universal Church, because she said, "Let's go to the Awakening of Faith." I didn't even know what that was. I'm going there. I'm listening on the radio. Radio Sao Paulo. Where is that? It wasn't in my city, which didn't have a church at that time. It was in a neighboring city, Osasco. So I accepted. I said, "Yes, I'll go with you." So I went on a Friday. I left there feeling light. I left there joyful and happy. That word entered inside me, and the presence of God began coming about my life. Then I started on the other days. Then I went Monday. I went Wednesday. I went Friday. I went Sunday. That's when I started the journey. And during that journey, the pastor talked about tithing at every meeting. And it really caught my attention because he was talking about the devourer. I didn't know that the devouring spirit existed. And it coincided with everything I was going through. Everything. I said, no. So I said maybe there is a devour spirit in my life. It's impossible that I work. I'm educated. My profession doesn't exist. Something is wrong. That's why I accepted the tithe offer. And I started to be loyal. I had been working at a company for 8 years. I kept saying I was going to retire from that company, that I didn't want to leave, that the company was very good. They even provided the medication. I wasn't even paying for all the medication. She gave me the medication when I needed it. The first thing that came to my mind, God said, "Get out of there." And I really liked my job. I worked in administration, so I would arrive without any enthusiasm, because I worked a lot there, directly with the boss, and solving problems. Then one day I went to his office. I said, "Look, I'd like to talk to you." He said, "Of course, go ahead. Mrs. Terezinha, I want you to fire me. I've been here for 8 years. And what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to practice my profession." Then he said, "Teacher, you're going to go crazy in the classroom." I said, "No, but now I've made my decision. I'm going to practice my profession." Then he took it and sent it. And what did I do with that money? I bought a plot of land that had a small house at the back, but I've already moved out of my rented apartment. Then I went to the first school near the church, in the city where I live. I went in and talked to the principal. I said, "Look, I came to register to be an intern." Then she took the book, gave it to me, and said, "You can register." I filled out the registration properly and was about to leave. As I was leaving, she said, "Come here. Don't you want to work?" I said, "I do." She said, "There's a vacancy. You can stay." Then I started without knowing anything. I was scared. I was insecure. The direction of doing my job. And then it dawned on me that this was what I had to do. I was doing everything wrong. I was working in another unemployed job, even though I had a degree. But since I didn't know God, I wasn't a tither, so I had no direction. I did my work. Thank God. I succeeded. It was the first room. Then she gave me another classroom. And every year I had a classroom. Then I started teaching in the city where I live. In the neighboring city, Osasco, and Itapavai. It was double the time. Then, after that little house, people would pass by my house and say, "Look, that house there. When it rains, it's going to fall down." And my son heard it. He was furious. Then what happened? He said, "Mom, a lady who lives on our street, a neighbor, came by and said our house is going to fall down." I said, "Son, that house will only fall down when I tear it down." Then, thank God, I managed to build the house in the front. I built one downstairs, then another upstairs, and all those health problems were solved. One of them went to college and works from home. My grandson, at 21, finished college. He finished. The college graduate got him his first job, and he's been there for 2 years already. And this year he went to France to represent the company. And the secret is that it wasn't just about the 10% tithe. That's easy. It was my whole life. I surrendered my whole life, body, soul, and spirit. I surrendered everything into God's hands, because that way, it's no use giving only a part. You have to give the whole thing. It's your complete life. That's why God completed everything, and He is still doing so. He does things today that I don't even ask for. And today, Pastor, I only thank God. And what I ask for my family isn't anything financial. I only ask for salvation.